Hey, Mason, I was just curious. I know you guys are working in some wider offensive line splits than a lot of these guys are used to. I guess how's that adjustment been, and how have guys kind of taken to it, at least in the early going so far?
I think they've gotten pretty used to it quicker than I thought they would. They didn't. At first it was he's going to go how far out, and then now it's kind of turned into they're stepping on each other, which means they're moving their feet. And if you're stepping on each other with 3.5 foot splits, then we're covering some ground there.
Next, we'll go to Steve.
Hey, Coach, what's the most difficult part of that, for a guy that's used to having a guy kind of in his hip pocket, now all of a sudden there's nobody there?
Courage. Honestly, it's just courage. I mean, as an offensive line, we try to, when we pass set or anything we do, it's about getting to the leverage and the junction points and all that stuff. So once you get over the fact that you're set into the same space, okay, you just don't have somebody attached to your hip. Okay, now it's just courage. Like, you're playing in a little bit more space, but there's still going to be help there. You're still going to have help on double teams and some of the schemes. So it's not courage, I guess, would be the best answer.
Up next, we'll go Paul Jones.
Coach, Dollar Bill's a guy that he's going into his third year, but he hadn't played much football due to suspension last year and redshirt the year before that. How is he getting adjusted to the new offensive scheme, and kind of where is he at in your eyes right now in camp?
He's playing with a lot of confidence right now, to be honest with you. To be 100%, he's playing with a lot of confidence, and he's been running with the ones the last 3 days or 2 days since what's today? I don't even know anymore. Tuesday. So Saturday, he started running with the ones.
We'll go to Brian Haydad next.
Coach, just being on the outside here, it would be difficult for me to try to put together a depth chart for the offensive line. How do you feel about, 10 guys in the two deep? Do you feel like you have that number of guys you feel comfortable with?
No, we're probably playing with about 8 right now. Seven guys. I mean, really it's 7, and then the center makes 8, because I think we got 2 pretty good centers right now who are battling it out, in James Jackson and Cole Smith. But, I think we're playing with about, 8 total, but 7 that I would put in a game at guard or tackle.
Okay, next we'll go to Joel Coleman.
Coach, we've talked in the past about Charles Cross, and I know you've been pretty high on him. Just what have you seen from Charles so far over the course of camp to this point?
He's like a pit bull. When he gets his hands on you, like it is, I mean, he doesn't surrender. And that's the thing I love most about him is his persistence. Like, he's a constant, same guy every day. And that's kind of where we need to be as an offensive line. Like I just told him out there, I said, we'll have 3 good plays and then 2 bad ones. We need to eliminate the bad plays. We need to be consistently good all the time.
We'll go back to Steve.
Cole Smith's been in the program now, I guess, year and a half now. What you mentioned him as a guy that's competing at center. What have you seen from him so far?
Very, very. He had his good days and his bad days, but there's a lot on our centers, and so he's learning well, and he's committed to learning, which I think is important. He doesn't take it personal. I'm very, very hard on our centers. It's probably you're going to get some tongue lashings. And so he's taken it very well. So is James. I mean, they both have. So I'm very proud of what they've done. We did some good things, again, in the protection today, but we got to continue to get better.
We'll go back to Paul.
Coach, you've mentioned before that you like to have some guys that are interchangeable because things can change quickly in a game, and you need guys that can play multiple positions. Who's some of those guys right now, in your opinion, that you could fill in at guard or tackle and have a lot of confidence in them?
Right now, it's really Greg Island. I mean, I can put him. I mean, he's the one that we're playing musical chairs with him, and at some point we need to settle down where we want to play him. But he's the one right now that I felt pretty good about. And after that, we've kind of left some people alone. We tried Scott Lashley at a couple, and we're just trying to put the best 5 out there at this point. But Greg's probably the one that's kind of seen the most. I didn't know this, and again, shame on me, but I mean, he played left tackle for 14 games in 2018, and we won 8 of them. So, I mean, that's a guy with experience, and I realized that, he had some struggles against Kentucky, but, a lot of people did against that guy. if I remember correctly.
We'll go to Tyler Horka next.
Yeah, Mason, this is a line that's had, a stout leader in each of the last couple seasons. Go back a couple ago, it's Eldon Jenkins, and last year's Darrell Williams, obviously. Who have you seen kind of take that vocal role and kind of take the reins on the offensive line?
Oh, D. Parker and Greg Island, layup, not even remotely close. They don't mess around. And again, Dollar's starting to get a little confidence. We want to keep him in one lane right now. We don't want him to get too excited so he doesn't chase butterflies. But he's one that's coming up in the ranks for sure.
We'll go to Ben next.
Could you touch on it a second ago? But Scott Lashley, how's he kind of come along so far? And I guess where's he at in terms of his progression and sort of working into this offense?
He's coming along well. I mean, we're obviously very, very, very glad to have him. He's done well. He and Charles Cross are battling it out. I mean, that's the bottom line. I mean, we hadn't played a game. We don't have to play one for another month. We got 20 practices left till we got to play. So we got a long way to go, but he's done well. He still does some things that we saw on film that he did at the other school. And so we got to get those corrected. But, boy, when he gets his hands on you, he's a large human. There's no question about it.
We'll go to Paul.
Coach, you got a couple true freshman linemen in this year with Grant Jackson and Calvin McMillan, and I'm sure their head's still spinning, just getting used to training camp and all that good stuff. But what's kind of your initial impressions of those two guys?
Grant's a big, strong kid, and he got a little bit of football ahead of them. There's, again, you're right. They're swimming. I mean, they don't, Grant I just watched him out there throw a defensive end like he was throwing a bale of hay. And, that's nice and all, but don't throw him into the quarterback, So stuff like that, learning, again, playing in space. And so we'll get there. Calvin's, coming along. So, one day at a time for those guys, for sure. They're going to have a long row ahead of them. But the nice thing is they got some length and they got some, Grant's surely got a lot of strength. I promise you that.
Probably have time for one or two more. We'll go to Ben.
Mason, with those guys that are freshmen, I mean, I know they're this year's eligibility, they're not going to be able to have to burn any eligibility this year. Is there any incentive to get those guys on the field maybe a little more than you would normally see?
No. My incentive is to keep whoever the quarterback is upright. So, we're going to play the best group we can. And I realize game experience and I'm thankful for, Charles and some of those guys getting game experience last year with Nick Penley. But, right now we're just trying to, I'm going to be honest with you, we're just trying to make sure we're going in the right direction some days. But, again, they're adapting well. I'm very proud of them. They're competing, and that's all I can ask for at this point. Good energy, too. And that's figuring me out, too, to be honest with you.
Apologize. Last question, we'll go to Joel.
Coach, I think you mentioned most everybody tonight. LaQuan Sharp, where's he kind of fitting into things right now?
He's a guy that could benefit from this, to be totally honest with you. I think he's a kid who can benefit from this extra year of eligibility or whatever we're calling it. He's good. You know what? Going back to what you asked me, a guy that can play left and right, he's a guy that can do it and doesn't seem to faze him. And I don't want to leave him out, but he has done a really good job, and he's a good football player. And I think one of the things that we're trying to do every day is learn to compete and be consistent. I know that's a cliche and everybody, but it's the truth. I mean, it is what it is. We got to be the same guy every day. If you're going to be bad, be bad. I mean, be good at it, but pick something. Don't go up and down on us.
All right. Thanks, Coach.